Hey guys, welcome to another unhaul video. Today we are upstairs. I am going to be working through these bookshelves plus more that you can't quite see. This will probably be a multi-part series, this upstairs shelves. For the most part, these books are ones that I've read before and I've kept them, so obviously I like them to a certain extent. There are some exceptions, some books I haven't read. There's a couple that are my kids or Jared's or something like that, but for the most part, I've read all of these, and so it's going to be quite difficult going through and finding ones to get rid of because they've made the initial cut. But I do know there are some to get rid of. There's also some cleaning to do, random things that have gravitated onto the bookcase over the years. The closed doors hold a bunch of our homeschool stuff. I'm not going to be going through that in a video. I think I'll do that either on my personal channel or in my homeschool membership because it's mostly just homeschool stuff, some books, but other homeschool stuff. So we're going to start in a shelf that you can't quite see. Up there, we've got some games on the top. For the most part, I won't be touching those, but we're going to do this smaller shelf and then work our way this way. We'll see how far we get until I decide it needs to be a second video. My tripod is not tall enough to reach these top shelves, so I've got to hold the camera for this. This is a random assortment. So here we've got an essential oil recipe book. This was gifted to me by Simply Earth a few years ago, and I thought I would use this, but I actually don't, so I'm gonna get rid of that. This Clue Escape Mystery I just got for Christmas from a subscriber, so we haven't done it yet. That's sitting there to do. Simply Living Well. This is a natural cleaning and all sorts of things book. I really enjoy this, so I'm keeping that. Now we've got my cookbooks. Cooking for Isaiah was our first gluten-free cookbook. I think I can get rid of this one. Then this is the America's Test Kitchen gluten-free book. This one has so many ingredients in all the recipes. That's gotta go. And then I really do like both of these Oshi Glows books, so I'm gonna keep both of those. This shelf holds a random assortment. These are like all sorts of different shells and things from different trips. This is supposed to be on our table. Then this is a little bit of my personality test type books. I've got The Happiness Project, The Four Tendencies, both those by Gretchen Rubin. I really enjoy those. Strengths Finders, I enjoy that one. Then I have a C.S. Lewis here. I think I need to figure out where to put these, but this isn't an organization video, so keeping that. We've got Young Agatha Christie. This is a graphic novel, which is pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan of the illustrations, but the story is good. And then Animal Farm, the graphic novel. So I'm keeping all of these. This, honestly, in my opinion, is better than the book. My theory is skip the book, go for the graphic novel. So I guess I'm keeping all of these. While we are at this level, I may as well take you over to this shelf actually, so changing my plans already. Okay, this is a variety shelf. My classics have started taking over the shelf. Crayons, I actually don't know why those are up there. Also, the 3-year-old's lip gloss is here. It's hidden because she can't reach up here, and she puts this on a little excessively. As for the actual books, some dead plants. Okay, so I have all of these Canadian historical fiction. These are like the Dear America, Dear Canada type books, but for boys. I have never read them. I don't think my son would be interested. And then also in that same vein, I have these My Story books. They're also like historical fiction of the different battles and things, and I would love for him to read these and have that be part of our homeschool, but I don't really think he ever will, so I will probably just get rid of all of these. Very weird assortment here. To Kill a Mockingbird, I just made my 7th grader read this in the last year. She wasn't a fan. I've read it. I feel like been there, done that. Maybe I can get rid of this one. I'll get rid of that. Forever or a Long, Long Time. This is a middle grade about foster care that is super hard hitting. I really enjoy it. The Screwtape Letters is in here. You know, actually, I have an annotated version of this now, so I don't think that I will come back and read this regular version, so I'm gonna get rid of this. Christy Miller collection. I'm waiting for my daughter to read this, see if she likes it. Maybe I should put it in her room. I've got The Giver. I love that one. My Life with the Liars is by the same author as Forever or a Long, Long Time. This one is about a kid that escapes from a cult. I enjoyed it in the time, but I don't think I'll ever reread it, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Then we've got the Little House on the Prairie series, the whole Laura Ingalls books. I really enjoy them. I don't know if we need to keep all of them though. This is so hard. I'm gonna keep them for now. One of the big struggles that I have is I don't know if our foster kids are going to be moving with us, and so if they are, I would like to have these reread in the next few years, but if they aren't, that might change my opinion on that. The Picture of Dorian Gray, like I've been keeping classics even if I don't like them. Whoa. But I really didn't enjoy this one, and I need to be a little bit more picky, so that one's gonna go. Frankenstein. I read this one in university years ago and really want to reread it because I didn't enjoy anything I read in university, so I'll give that one another try. I really enjoy this one, 84 Charing Cross Road, Tolkien, The Letters from Father Christmas, Rebecca, Wuthering Heights, The Lottery, love all those. The Haunting of Hill House, I think that one was pretty good. I didn't love it as much as others. Moby Dick. Now, do I keep this on my shelf because I read it, or do I chuck it because it wasn't worth my time? I think I'm going to get rid of it. Dracula, I fairly enjoyed, and A Christmas Carol, I really enjoy. So those are going to stay. Now I feel like we should just keep going on this same level. So I'm going to totally change my plan, and we're just going to keep going across into some more classics. Okay, we've come to another classics shelf. More stuff that's the 3-year-olds. I've got a container of seashells that I collected on our honeymoon and a vintage camera. I'm just gonna move those for right now. Okay, let's start at this end. Animal Farm. I just talked about how much I don't enjoy this, but I do think that this is one that I'm gonna get my son to read when he gets a little older, so I'm gonna keep it for now. I've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This one I think is quite enjoyable. Wuthering Heights. Now, this is a book that I have 2 editions of. Do I need both editions? Probably not, but this is the edition I read it from, but the other edition is better. I'm a little torn. I feel attached to this edition. I'm gonna keep it for now. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I didn't really enjoy this. Never cared to continue the series, so I'm gonna get rid of that. The Brothers Grimm. I have not read all of the fairy tales, but I've read a bunch of them. Little Women. Yeah, I enjoy this, but I have another edition, so maybe I'll get rid of this one, even though I bought this one a long time ago. It was one of my first classics I owned. Heidi in this beautiful Puffin and Bloom collection is staying, or edition. The Wind in the Willows. Okay. This one I really don't enjoy, but I really enjoy the cover and the vintage feel of this, so it's staying. Whose Body by Dorothy L. Sayers is staying. Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Call of the Wild. This is a classic Christmas, which has a bunch of different stories from classic authors, Christmas stories. So I'm keeping that. Here's my beautiful edition of Little Women. It's a little chunky because it is kind of on the shorter end, but you can see why I would want to keep this over that. In my opinion, this is a lot more beautiful. Through the Gates of Splendor by Elizabeth Elliot. Keeping that. The Lost World of Arthur Conan Doyle. This is a science fiction story with dinosaurs that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote, like the author of Sherlock. Very different. I didn't enjoy it, so maybe I'll get rid of this one. Middlemarch. This is a book that I kind of like to keep on my shelf because I read it. It's massive. I kind of think that down the road I might reread this, even though I really didn't enjoy it. I'm going to keep it because I've been getting more into classics and maybe I'll feel different in the future. A Little Princess. This one I have a couple different editions of as well, but this is one of my favorite classics. So can you keep multiples of your favorite classics? I'll think on that one. Daddy Longlegs I'm keeping. Wives and Daughters, definitely keeping. I'm gonna keep this one for now. Maybe it won't survive another cut. The Outsiders is here. That one's staying. Emily of Deep Valley. Now I can actually fit a few more books this way. What Katie Did. Then I've got My Cousin Rachel. I honestly didn't realize that I already owned a copy of this, and then I went and bought another copy, which is prettier. So I'm going to get rid of this one, even though I kind of like the vintage feel of it. It's different if you have to move all your books. You can't keep all of them. That's what I'm telling myself. I've got The Pilgrim's Progress, which I also own actually in 2 other editions. This is one I read in high school and really enjoyed. But I do like this copy and the Penguin English Library books, so I'm gonna keep this one. Then I've got another Grimm's Fairy Tales, but I don't think this one is the complete fairy tales, whereas my other copy is, so I'll have to get rid of that. The Secret Garden, this one I actually own in another edition as well. Once again, you can't keep them all. I think that's gotta go. The Princess and the Goblin, I do not enjoy this story, so that's gonna go. We've got Treasure Island. I don't think I own another copy of this one, so this one will stay. The Wizard of Oz, gotta keep that. Around the World in 80 Days, I'm gonna keep. Hans Christian Andersen's Fairy Tales, I'm gonna keep. Black Beauty, I actually just unhauled one from my unread shelf because I know I read this a long time ago, but I don't think I'm ever gonna reread it, so I'm gonna get rid of that one. And then I've got another edition of Heidi when I have a prettier edition, so that can go. I love owning multiple editions of books, and if it was just a matter of like the books staying in my house, maybe I would keep them, but when I have to actually move them, that's a different story. Okay, this started out, I think it is mostly my like mystery suspense shelf, so I'm not sure if there's gonna be a whole lot to get off of here. I've got some like vintage type Sherlock books. These are going to stay because Sherlock is one of my favorites. A Nun in the Closet by Dorothy Gilman was fun. Deadly Curious was a fun one, but I don't think I'm ever going to reread this, so I guess this one can go. The Pawn, I need to continue the series, see if I want to keep it. Secret Lives of Sergeant John Wilson is a like local story. We had to read this in high school. I always meant to reread it and I never got around to it, so that can go. The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz I did not enjoy, so I'm gonna get rid of that one. Marple, 12 New Stories, that one was fun. A Peculiar Combination I enjoyed. I'm keeping all of the Thursday Murder Club books. Network of Deceit. This is a second book in a series, and I did not enjoy this one as much, so that one can actually go. More Thursday Murder Club. Dorothy Gilman. We've got Mrs. Polifax. The Ghost and Mrs. Jeffries. This was my least favorite of the series, and I think the only one that I own, but I can get rid of that. I'm going to continue reading the series, but I don't need to own them all. The Number One Ladies Detective Agency, I really enjoyed the first book, and I've kept this book, but unhauled the rest because I didn't enjoy them that much. More Mrs. Polifax. Finlay Donovan is killing it. I have mixed feelings on this. I loved the premise, but it like really towed some lines, and then subsequent books crossed those lines, so I think I can get rid of that one. More Mrs. Polifax. A Study in Scarlet, this Sherlock one. More Thursday Murder Club. A couple Maisie Dobbs, keeping those. The Beekeeper's Apprentice by Laurie R. King. This is also another book that I enjoyed the first book in the series, haven't enjoyed other ones, but I'm keeping the first book. A Single Light. This is a second book in a series, and I didn't really enjoy this one, so that can go. Shady Hollow. This is one that, like, the first book I really enjoyed, didn't really enjoy the rest, but I'm keeping the first one. Here's my complete Sherlock, and I have loved these. Collision of Lies was that first book that I did enjoy. This one was really good. Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Amanda Flower. This is an Emily Dickinson mystery, which was fun, but not really worth rereading, so that one can go. Got The Hound of Baskervilles, and the line between, which was book 1 to A Single Light. So I have a thing where I really like book 1 but then don't like the rest. So that's a decent stack off of that shelf. We're gonna head over to my other bookshelf that I didn't think I was gonna touch today and just continue to do the books that are on this level. This is a little bit more mystery, suspense, and then some historical fiction and some other stuff. It starts out one way and then more books get thrown up in there. The Lake House by Kate Morton. I've talked about that a lot lately. I love it. One Little Lie by Colleen Coble. I did enjoy this. It has to do with a cult, but I don't really care to continue the series or really reread this, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I did enjoy A Cry from the Dust by Carrie Stewart Parks, but I didn't enjoy the rest of the series as much, so I'm gonna get rid of these. And then I've enjoyed her standalones, I think. I'm trying to remember which one's which. This one, yeah, I think this one, Formula of Deception, maybe not as much, so I'll get rid of that one. Then, oh, I got this like teeny Between Shades of Grey. When I bought it online, I didn't realize how teeny it was gonna be, so I'm never gonna read it from here. So I'm gonna get rid of that. I did used to own a bigger copy, but I borrowed it out and it never came back, so it happens. I've really enjoyed this Terry Blackstock series, the If I Run series, and I reread the first book. I don't think I'm ever gonna reread them again, but I kind of want to keep them together, so I'm going to. And these Nancy Mell books, they're interesting, but I think she's going to be a library author for me from now on. Like, I'll just, if I want to read her books, if I feel in the mood for them, I'll get them out from the library. Okay, so this is slightly more just like historical fiction. We've got Salt to the Sea by Rudis Petties, that's staying. Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society, The Book Thief, Vienna Prelude. This is another one where I kept the first book and got rid of the rest. Soldier Boy, if you want to cry your eyes out. Any Rudis Petties is staying. Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Secrets of a Charmed Life. That one can go. The Lost Girls of Willowbrook. I read another book around this time that was similar-ish, but better. Last book in Bookshop in London I really enjoyed. Hood, I'm still trying to finish that series. The Help, As Bright as Heaven, and Fountains of Silence. Those are all gonna stay. So I had already culled this down pretty good over the years. Okay, then we've got one tiny little bookshelf right here. Okay, there's a bunch of books that I kind of used in our homeschool. The Book of Virtues, The Moral Compass. We've read like short stories out of here before. I don't think I'm gonna use them anymore though. So those will go. The Well-Trained Mind. This is a homeschool like resource that I actually use quite a bit that I wouldn't mind keeping. The History of the Renaissance World. Yeah, I'm never gonna read that. I have high expectations for myself sometimes. High hopes. Muses from the Moon. I found this to be quite depressing, so I don't plan on rereading it. And then, yeah, the rest here is some poetry stuff. So You Are Only Just Beginning, I just barely finished. That was pretty enjoyable. All Along You Were Blooming is my favorite of hers. Thomas Hardy's Selected Poems. There was a couple in here I enjoyed. Wildflowers I enjoyed. Poetry of Emily Dickinson. The Sweet Life. This one is a fun little collection of poems and different things, but I don't think I'm going to keep it. My Utmost for His Highest. I have never, I mean, I read it like years and years ago and I've never picked it up again. I think I'm going to get rid of this. I might look for a different version. I never use the New International Bible version, so maybe I'll keep an eye out for a version that I actually use. The Poetry of William Wordsworth. I don't know why I kept this. I didn't think I really liked his poems. So that's gonna go. And then I've got the American Experience poetry. So it's a bunch of different American poetry. I haven't flipped through here in a long time. Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson, Robert Frost, William Carlos Williams, E.E. Cummings. I feel like I have most of these poets in different collections or different books. So I think I can get rid of this. Okay, so I think that was a pretty successful first little bit of these shelves. Like, I mean, you can barely tell because there's so much more to do. I will overlay a shot of all the books that I'm getting rid of. I feel like that was successful, and I'm excited to take some time and go over the rest of the shelves. If you guys have been unhauling books lately, I would love to hear like the stuff that you're getting rid of, what's not making the cut these days. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.